Welcome to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. And now, here is your host, T. Allen Haynes.
Welcome back to the show. We've got a great guest for you today. We have Sheila Unique, and she is the CEO and founder of the Unique Approach Medical Intuitive, relationship expert, trainer, and speaker expert in the field of teacher and student achievement, and she's also a best-selling author. Master in problem solving, and she's passionate about educating teachers, educators, and how their thoughts and emotions impact their physical body and overall health. And Sheila's unique approach enables teachers to take what is perceived negative and turn it into a positive, life-enhancing experience. She's a global, sought-after speaker. She's host of the Unique Approach TV show, and she's a guest star on many radio shows, and we're so happy that she's on our show today. So welcome to the show, Sheila.
Thank you, T. Allen. It's an honor to be here with you. I'm looking forward to sharing and being with you for this next half hour.
Awesome. Well, yes, we're very excited, and it was a pleasure meeting you at the Public Speakers Association conference. And let's just get right into it. Tell us a little bit about the types of people that you're helping.
I am so excited about helping teachers and educators. I was very fortunate in 2016 to be working to coach teachers in a classroom. So having a hands-on experience watching those teachers work with the grade 5 students, it was amazing to follow them from classroom to their indoor activities, their outdoor activities. And from there, I got really excited thinking I can empower those children through the people that mentor them. And that turned my journey around to become really focused on how can I best support the teachers as they work with our future generation.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit, how did you get started in this?
As life brings about our interesting directions, I moved to Calgary back in 1998, which was a province over. I live in Saskatchewan now, moved over to Alberta, and when I was there, I was starting a holistic business, doing contract work, doing different things like hot stone massage and colonics, and yes, believe it or not, I did colonics. I did reflexology, and there were so many hands-on modalities that I did. And I would notice as pain would surface in my body, I recognized when I was telling someone about my pain, it would also tie into different blocks I was experiencing in my life. Like, how can I get ahead with my business? What else can I do? Who could I connect with for clients? And I would go to the chiropractor because my L5, which is the lumbar vertebrae, the number 5 one, would always go out, and I would hear it crack. So I'd go to the chiropractor, he'd do an adjustment, and out I would go again to within the next half a day, my L5 would go out. And then I would talk about what was going on in my business, and I noticed, T. Allen, that the pain-type sensations would surface in my body. And as my journey went along, I started to connect. Every time I was thinking and explaining and talking about something, my body would give me the sign, where in my body was I also feeling this? Putting things together, from there, moving it up a little bit, back in 2003, I started to not only work with the physical body through hot stone massage and reflexology, I sensed doing that I had a healing energy coming out of my hands. I could always feel this vibrating, beautiful energy out of my hands, and my clients would feel it. They'd be in a place where whatever was going on, it was, all of a sudden their body they were standing up a little more straight, and they would all of a sudden talk like their problem was, resolved. Mm-hmm. Because as I worked with them, I would also share different perspectives that they consider, and I started to put two and two together. So along come a master, Dr. Ewan. He had created the Ewan method, and it was all about energy clearing. It was beautiful to experience. Now I have the physical body, and, I've been working with that for a while. Now it was about the energetics. Now it was about, oh my gosh, what are our thoughts and what are we feeling in the physical body, and what is that showing us about what's going on in life? Whoa, did my world open up. So I moved on to become certified. I got mastery in that. And would you like me to go on a little more about what got me there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested in how this all evolved. Absolutely.
Okay, because I can share now. That was that education. Now we move into. I went to India for 3 years in a row, and I attended the university there, the Oneness University, and it's all about taking ourselves, really being present and aware with what's going on inside and how that relates to everything and everyone around us. And I would be with how I was feeling that day, and of course, in 45 above weather, you get a little bit hot. And you just kind of know, for the 35 days that I'm there at the university, you just kind of sit in the heat, and it brings up stuff in people. Like, it's getting hot, and people would get edgy, and we'd be driving to the university, and you would notice people were kind of getting pushing, and I started to see when there's things that would bother me, like it bothered me to see these people being really rude and not being kind, and I would always be with what I was feeling inside in relationship to what was happening outside. Well, 3 years in a row can change perspective quite quickly, and that led me even further to start to meet teachers, work with teachers, and I would be with, the whole educational process, and where was I going to go with this? It's amazing how when you start to look at life from the point of view of what's going on inside of us in relationship to what's actually taking place around us, when you resolve any, I call it unrest, when you resolve anything that bothers you or you're reacting to, you will show up more empowered. You will actually show up more energized. So that's a little bit about my background.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a lot of people don't. I mean, they live a lifetime and they don't understand that, or they don't get that information about it. All begins inside. It's an inside job, basically, right?
Sure is.
Absolutely. So along the way, I'm fortunate enough to meet you and be around you. But what along the way, was there somebody that inspired you?
I would have to say the one that changed my life was Dr. Ewan. He wrote a book called Instant Pain Elimination. That was years ago. That influenced how I started to see things. Because as I moved along and worked with clients, it was something to have somebody sitting beside me with a headache, and I could have that headache gone within a minute. It's the kind of thing where, sitting beside someone where now it's in my consciousness about the gift that I have and how can I utilize that to help make the world a brighter place. How can you take what you know and share that, just like you do, T. Allen, with the people, taking them to celebrity status? You're putting them in the forefront in a beautiful way. So my journey involves helping people who are actually getting really caught up and losing focus about what their problem is. Because if all of a sudden somebody's got cancer, their whole world turns into, now they have cancer. And I'm going, oh my gosh, when pain or aches or stress surfaces in the physical body, That's a sign right off the bat that something, either you need to change directions, you need to relook at something, or it's a symptom that there's unrest in the body. And I often say, T. Allen, that when we're aware something bothers us, I'll reference it this way. I kind of call it, it's kind of in the spirit realm, which means, either you're okay with something or you're not okay. You're either at rest or you're at unrest. In other words, like you go about your day and something happens, the dog barks, or, all of a sudden you're watching something and the commercial comes on and okay, so that's kind of like a problem. Well, okay. Now, if it gets to the point where it's actually making you really frustrated and mad and you're starting to just, that's a sign that something's bothering you. So I reference it out there, and it's so beautifully shown to you through a reaction. So I actually get really excited when people have reactions. Because until those happen, T. Allen, you have no idea that something's even bothering you. Have you experienced that?
Right.
Like you have no idea that the dog barking, for example, would be something that would bother you until you start, like, losing it or going, like, really? So from there, I would share with people, like, so we have it on the spirit realm where you kind of know something bothers you. Well, if you don't resolve it at that level, then it starts to manifest in the mind, and you start thinking about it, and then, of course, it happens more because now you're bothered about it, and you notice it more, and everywhere you go, you notice it more, and then it's in the mind, and then it starts to affect the emotions. But here's what I want you to hear. A lot of people at this stage will phone a friend or go to a movie or go shopping, because they think that that'll help clear their mind and it'll go away. But it doesn't. You go home and the dog's still barking, for example. What I want to show you is when it gets to the physical body, now it has your attention. You cannot pretend you don't have a migraine headache. You cannot pretend your back is throbbing and you can't move. You cannot pretend there's no more flexibility in your body. And that's the important the piece that I want to share with you. When it gets to the physical body, it now has your attention, and that's usually where people start to suffer.
Wow. Very cool. Like I mentioned, I've seen you speak on stage, and I feel your passion, but what is it that really gets you up out of bed every day to help people that you help?
I'm the kind of person, T. Allen, that walks my talk. So what gets me out of bed is just knowing that the more people who learn about this, the more people who can experience the shifting that can take place in our perception, the way we think about things, the way the body moves, the more people, it'll make a huge difference for the world. And the other part I would add to that is when I think of working with the teachers and helping them to see something differently, that's going to impact the children. And that's going to make a difference in how our future is. Because it takes me back to thinking, in grade 6, I had a teacher who was not very nice. I couldn't find a city on the map in social studies, and I was belittled for it, and I'll always remember that didn't feel very great. If a teacher recognizes that they have, that influence, and it's not about, motivating the children through those kinds of ways anymore, it'll make a difference on how those kids grow up and how they'll show up in the world. That motivates me, T. Allen. That's
awesome. What are you finding to be the biggest misconception with, that problem that you described with students and teachers overcoming that challenge?
The biggest misperception is not acknowledging the energetic element. I work with teachers to help them to see how being frustrated and overwhelmed is all about what's causing them stress. And when you think about it and you just be with it, if logically we looked at that, you can't see frustration and you can't see overwhelm. As a matter of fact, you can't even see stress. Those are three things that have to do with how you feel, have to do with how you perceive something, and it is not a physical thing. So it's felt in the energetics. And someone like myself, I can feel absolutely all of that. When someone is in a reactive place, and I'll call frustration a reactive place, I can feel where in the body it's manifesting. In other words, where's the tightness? Where is the denseness in the physical, in the energy? And what is that all about? And the misperception is the fact that, people actually feel that. So, T. Allen, think about somebody who's ever mad at you, and they're just like yelling at you. Okay? Well, you look at them, and you know they're mad. You can feel it. That's something that a lot of people are in denial of. They'll say, I am not mad. Oh, my gosh, can't you feel that? No, I'm not mad. I just think they should all stop that. That's the part that I want to help people to be with. I want to help them to see, do you know what's really causing that? By asking empowering questions, to help them to recognize, you know what, there's an element that you're not really aware of at this phase. It's not just about physically showing up for the kids. It's not just about, talking good with them. You also have to deal with the emotion and all what's going on inside.
Interesting. So along the way, how can the listener avoid this and overcome those moments?
Your show, I love your show. It's one problem, one solution. And I think in terms of, again, the problem would be the physical health and how people are perceiving it. A beautiful thing that I learned from Dr. Ewan years ago was he said, pain doesn't cause getting old. Getting old happens because of pain. So when you think about that, if there's any hurt in any way, and hurt can be expressed through a broken relationship, you can experience that by, having a speaking gig and it doesn't go well. You can experience that through, somebody speaking badly about you, or, those are all different kinds of hurts. How many people have experienced a broken relationship, going through a divorce and stuff like that? Teachers do. If that's not resolved inside, that'll start to manifest and create physical ailments. And having a hurtful relationship, it's not something that you can just put on the shelf and go back and get it in a couple of years. Like, it kind of stays with you. And over time, T. Ellen, that pain in that hurtful relationship, that'll start to deteriorate your spirit, how you show up in the world. It'll start to manifest as problems in other relationships. And that's the whole dynamic that can take place. So when it comes to resolving this for people, the most important thing is about helping them to recognize that what is the real problem that they're dealing with? What is it that's really causing them to be in a place where, now they're withdrawing a little more, or they're not so involved with the groups that they used to be. They're kind of pulling back a little. Over time, that creates quite a bit of unrest. And that definitely has to be something that needs to be looked at
Being a teacher, that is one of the most challenging occupations I think ever. And even police officers and public servants and things like that, I've seen that they're just now focusing on, these mental thought processes with them and trying to get them help on how they react to certain stressful situations. So you have that solution as well.
Yeah, and in my talks, I talk about being proactive. I use that acronym specifically to talk about how you've got a P for problems, and then the R are the reactions. They show up. So of course in that time period that what's going on. Always about ownership, and then it's about actively looking for the common stressors. When you start to notice those common stressors, they can show up in how you think about things. They can show up physically, but that's going to be your lead in to resolving your problems. That's going to be the lead in to resolving as far as the pain that's surfacing in the physical body, because that pain can be eliminated in a heartbeat. I work with this all the time. And another one I just quickly want to throw in there, which is so important, T. Allen, is before any pain surfaces in the physical body that you can feel, it will be preceded with a thought. So allow me to give you a quick example. Let's say someone's standing at the sink and they're doing the dishes, and they're having a really great day, and they're standing there and they're doing the dishes, and all of a sudden they think about, oh my gosh, I got to do that interview tomorrow. Or they'll think, oh boy, I got to go see the principal tomorrow about, the fight that broke out in the classroom. And now they're not feeling so great anymore. Now they're, the confidence is a little bit down. They've had this fight surface a couple of times in the classroom. And as they're doing their dishes, T. Allen, pain starts to surface. So, their back's a little bit sore and they're a little bit caught up in, my legs are getting a little sore. Oh, it must be because of the dishes. Maybe there's just too many. Maybe I was standing on my feet too long today. And that's another misperception people have, is they look immediately to what they're doing. And if they look there, but also lift their head up and consider, what are the thoughts that I'm having in this moment? What am I really thinking about? That is where they will find their problem, which will lead them to have a resolution, because that's the part that's creating the unrest and manifesting in the physical body.
Can you share with us a case study or a time where you've actually helped someone overcome these challenges?
Still to this day, I would have to say one of the teachers that I was very blessed to be in a classroom with for 6 months, she had one day confided in me, and she's okay that I share this story. I have asked her. She had confided in me that she was having trouble with her teenage son, and he was 16 at the time. When I showed up on the scene, she had been in a place where, she was trying to get him to do his homework, and all their conversation was about getting him to do the homework, and is he doing what the teacher's asking? And he was becoming more distant. He didn't want much to do with her. And to her, this teacher family was everything. And I started to show her, as a teacher, she was treating her son as a teacher. As a student. She was using her role not as a mother, but as a teacher, treating her son like a student. So it became a focus of, get your homework done. It wasn't so much of an attention thing about, hey, how was everything? hey, what's going on? Want to go shopping? It was so focused on making sure that he would excel. And as we talked, TL, and it was just so beautiful to watch what unfolded. Because, of course, to her it was important. She was a teacher. She didn't have a son that was really good at school at that time, wasn't putting any energy into it. How did that look to her as a teacher? And more as I showed her that it wasn't about that, it had also something to do with her trusting other teachers could take care of her son. That wasn't her role to be the teacher. She had to trust the other teachers in the high school were going to get her son through and graduate. So more I showed her about stepping back from her relationship, recognizing what she was doing, she started to change her relationship with her son. It was magical to watch what unfolded over the next 4 months. I said to her, nope. Just send him a text and say, hey, sending you, hope your test goes good today, and that was it. Because before she would say, are you prepared for the test? Are you, do you need any help? I can help you. Do you need, we should do, and he would say, no, like basically back off. And she started just sending little love notes, I'll call them, or little inspirational words for him. And slowly he started to come around, and he graduated, and she was so proud of him, and their relationship is closer than ever. Because a lot of people, when we're in that role, TL, we lose sight of, what's the problem here? And so I was able to bring her back and say, you know what, this is about having a son, not having a student in your house. I'll always remember that story.
Interesting. I know I had some challenges when I was in the military because I was a division commander. I was training recruits, and I brought some of that home. And, my kids, unfortunately, had to experience some of that.
And do you know, TL, that's part of the journey. That's part of the learning and the growing that we each experience. It's not mom and dad were bad or, I ruined my kid's life, which someday I wondered about. It's not about that. It's about, here's some beautiful lessons that you've gone through. Here's beautiful experiences you've had in your life. And, how can those help you to move forward? Really empowering. Really empowering.
Absolutely. So what would be your best piece of advice to the listener who's trying to overcome some of these challenges?
My advice to people is to recognize, again, the thoughts that are surfacing when the pain shows up. Now, people might say, well, I'm in pain all the time. What a beautiful way to kind of step back and just be with that. Now, it's funny when I work with people and they say, okay, Sheila, I was being with my pain. Well, so many times, TL, and we get to the place where I don't want to be mad, and yet you can feel the anger inside. Or they'll go, oh, my back is bad. And I go, what is your back trying to communicate to you? The physical body is always communicating to you as a person. You take your physical body with you 24/7, 365. Like it's with you, and it'll always be communicating with you. And what is it saying? You can come to know what your physical body is saying. And that's what I'm really passionate about. That's what I want people to know is it's your friend. And it doesn't matter what it's showing you. There's a gift in everything that surfaces.
Awesome. If the listeners wanting some more information on how you can help them, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, I'm so excited. TL and I got to connect with Tanya Hoffman, and she created this. It's called Simply Attract, and they're games that you can put onto your website, and it allows people to experience the kind of work you do. I've got one of those games now on my website. People can go to theuniqueapproach.com and play the game. They can also enter my contest to win a coaching session with me. And I am quite particular about the people that I work with. And because of time and all of the things, like, for example, you and I are involved in, it makes sense to just kind of really let people get a sense of, do they want to play with me or not in life? That would be something. So, of course, I have my website available for people to reach me as well.
Awesome. Well, great information. You definitely resolve the problem in the marketplace, and congratulations on all your accomplishments, and thank you for being on the show.
It is such a joy to know you, T. Allen, after sitting with you through that conference and watching your empowering, just amazing presentation. It elevates people to a whole new level when they just be in your presence, and for that I'll always be grateful. So thank you again for this opportunity today.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for the kind words. So there you have it for this edition of the show. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for listening to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show with T. Allen Haynes. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. We will see you next time on the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show.